every single time we start a recording, I hear the ding, ding, ding,
Okay.
which is like the Mario Kart, like
Start to the race.
preload every
Nice.
single time. I'm always
That's so
like
good.
revving my engines. Here we go.
Ready, start, go. That's the whole thing. So
But
that's
because we
cool.
always give it to them. We got to give it to them. The clap, the hello.
So ready, three. And do you want to start with your hands in or out?
Oh, I'm
Okay.
feeling large and in charge today.
Okay, let's go. 3, 2, 1. Hey, hey, hey! How you doing? I hope you're having a great day. It's Dave and Hannah with WTF Talks, and we want to talk about work as it relates to work hard, tell the truth, and finish the job. So, Hannah, what do you got for us today?
Oh my gosh, well, today is what you've got for us today. We've got a topic all about what are the things that your boss or your owner wants to tell you and cannot tell you. But you did this for you did this.
About
How
it?
did this come to be? Like, how did this opportunity come to be? Why was this the topic that you were speaking about in this? Like, what the heck is going on here?
Sure. So, yeah, my buddy and I are, this is one of my buddies in a peer group with me. I've been kind of leading for the last almost 2 years now. And he owns a business here in Central Florida near us. Um, they're a fabricator of metal products. And, he's got a staff of, I think, 70 or so people and a pretty significant company, if you don't mind me saying so. Honestly, for me in the small, medium-sized business realm, we deal with lots of trucking companies with large staffs, but I don't deal with a lot of small business owners who have like servicing clients like NASA. And
You get, first of all, the whole NASA thing is so crazy because people think that NASA is like the most insane. Like from home, being from like a kid from Toronto, like NASA is like end all be all. And like actually I'm having dinner tomorrow night with somebody who works at NASA, like one of my good friends down here. It's just one of the companies in our area. Like it's not
it's
that
just one organization. Lots of
sorry.
people work there, but it's
Not to
so cool.
discredit the work that your friend,
No,
your
but
company is doing, but it is just like a very different, like it's not the
well, yeah,
same.
yeah. So like we're sitting around, he's talking about a project at Blue Origin or a different space program, and I'm like, space is still the final frontier to me. It's like, anyways. So I'm getting talking with this guy, and they had they had a client issue that he had to jump off a meeting with me from to go deal with. And so I got talking to him about it later, and he's like, "Yeah, just getting my team to show up and do their job, and like we all know what's at stake, and we all really care, but somehow we just had a shipment go out of our facility that wasn't to our standards or to our client standard, and now, I'm doing the dance for another company to explain to them how we're going to be better next time."
Mm.
And so, that always gets me, like, I love coming back from failure with a client. I don't try to fail at the beginning, don't get me wrong, but in when you're working on hiring projects and you're hiring people,
True, but a sandbagger from the get-go.
I'm a
Like
stagger from way back.
you don't want to fail.
But I definitely want to outperform.
Yeah.
Um, and so for me, it's like I was just hearing him talk about, how to make things right with his client and how much work that was going to be for him, and just how to reestablish the credibility that he had built over time. Because I think this was like their first order to the client, and they wet the bed on it in some aspects. And so, anyways, they're a great company, and he's got a good management team, but needed to have a conversation around how did that happen? What the frig?
Got it. So that's kind of how the whole conversation came to
Yeah.
be. And so this was the things that your boss, your owner wants to say to you, but just can't.
Yeah.
Is it they can't because it's not workplace
No.
appropriate, or they're too scared to say it, or they're too scared of what you're going to say after they say it, or why can't they say these things to you?
So, like, honestly, I hope that people find that amongst the rambling that I do, that I actually do distill thought down into concrete, like, wow, that was a good takeaway. And that was a good takeaway, and that was a good takeaway. We try and do it here in a very conversational way, so it gets convoluted from time to time. But I do try to create really pithy, memorable comments for people. And so, um, anyway, so I have a more frank conversation with them than an owner is going to have, because he doesn't want everybody to walk out and quit the next day. But if I come in as a consultant from outside, or a friend of the business owner or whatever, and I say, hey guys, like, let's have a conversation about what the owner's job is and what your job is.
Mm-hmm.
And like, when I told him that that was the subject matter that I wanted to talk to his team about, he was like, oh, that'd be so good. I want them to know what my job is. Could you mind reminding me what my job is?
I was just about to say, I was like, did
Like
he
that.
have clear direction for you on
But
it?
like, when I talked to him about what his job was as an owner, he was like, well, I do this and I do that and I do this and I do that and I do this and I do that and I do this and I do that. I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. As the owner, you don't do that. That's not your job as the owner. That might be your job as the president, or as the chief control, or like a sales guy, or like, owners wear a lot of different hats. But the owner only has one job, just one job. So,
What is it?
well, thank you for asking. The owner's job is to make sure that your paycheck clears on Friday.
It's a good
That's
job
it.
for the owner.
It's an important job. It needs to happen. But the owner only has one job, is to make sure there's money in the bank on payday. And everything else is somebody else's job. And now sometimes the owner is filling those roles, and in a true, oh, shout out to Wayne Brown, who pitched me the E-Myth 1,000 times before I ever read it. But the Michael Gerber book called E-Myth asks you to really build out the whole organizational chart as you start your business and start to get it to grow. And even if your name goes in every single box on the organizational chart, you want to understand what the organizational chart is to get things done in your business. And then as you move out of some of those boxes and other people's names move into those boxes, you know what's expected of them, and you can create a real good authority, an accountability structure for them, not an authority structure, an accountability structure for them. These are the things you have to do in that role. And you even hold yourself accountable to doing those things in that role when you're sitting in that box. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
That's a
absolutely.
super simplification of a very complex uh, concept around how you make your business set for scalability. But Gerber is one of the, geniuses from the 80s that's well thought of and often quoted. And he was kind of one of the guys that formed that thought for me. So when the owner is doing, like in our business, I do some sales. When I sit in that role, I'm a sales guy. I'm not the owner. When I'm doing payroll or checking invoices or making sure people get paid, those are other roles that I'm supporting in. But that's not the owner's role. The owner's role is to make sure there's money in the bank on Friday, on payday.
Hmm.
And I
Interesting.
miss so badly the interaction of the owner signing a check and handing it to someone. I
Yeah.
I hate electronic banking for what it's done for employer-employee relationships. When you had to, and Hannah, this never happened in your lifetime. You never, I don't think you
Hey,
ever
don't
got
put that on me. I very specifically remember you signing and paying me and paying other people and sitting in the office for freaking
hours.
way too long because people hadn't come and got their checks yet, then putting them in the mailbox and being like, "They're Jesus, please don't let these get stolen." Like they're
And they did get stolen a few times,
Oh
uh,
goodness.
and destroyed. And I never had. I don't think we ever had in our history a check fraudulently deposited where we got stung for it. The bank has stood with us, and we haven't had many that were like deposited to some random bank account for some random person. Our people really treated it amazingly. Like for 10 or 15 years, we were putting checks in mailboxes every Friday night at 5 o'clock and
Yeah.
going home and waiting, hoping for the best.
5 o'clock
So
is not a fair representation of when that happened, but I appreciate that you thought that you got out by then. Like,
yeah,
you were going, if we wait a couple more hours, I'll get to shake their hand, we can get some dinner, and we'll miss all the traffic on the way home, so we can drive right through. But
that's
anyways,
so true. I would never leave the office at 4 or 5 o'clock on a Friday. It
not
was
a chance.
always 6 or 7 because I didn't want to fight traffic. I'd rather wait and go out for a meal. And that's like, sorry, that's good. So, anyways, we're talking about the owner responsibility, employee responsibility. And so that I believe that the owner's job is just one thing: make sure there's money in the bank on payday. And if there
Okay.
isn't, they got a problem, a big problem.
Most certainly. And so then what are the other things that you were telling them? You said you had three things that you told them that the managers or bosses or
Well, sure.
owners don't want to tell them. What
So,
is that one of those three
so an
things?
employee's job, the natural question after what's the owner's job is what's an employee's job? And the employee's job is really simple. It's only three things. It's only three things.
I wonder what they'll be.
Some people are going to hate me for saying this, and so that's why owners can't say this to their own people. And unfortunately, I have, but probably shouldn't. So if you're working for Better Together Group, please turn off this video now.
That
Um,
that's so not true. You literally say this to our people all of the time. This is
no, I
like
don't. And I don't say it all the time. I don't think I do.
you
Um,
okay.
too much? Too much, maybe?
We
Oh,
have a
did I ever get
graphic.
a side eye look there? You're trying so hard not to throw me under the bus, but your eyes
We
just did.
we have an actual graphic that we sent out to people to print out and put on their desks. So like it's not
I'm looking for that graphic. If you can find it and send it back to me, I don't want to have to recreate it. But yes, the principles are simple. There's three principles. Employees need to do three things for their owner. They need to make them money. They need to save them money. And if you can't do those two things, you need to make their life easier. Okay. If you're struggling to know how to impress your boss, make them money or save them money or make their life really easy. That's that's all you have to do. And so like in every job that happens in different ways, there's some roles that are very revenue focused. And if you're in a sales role or a marketing role, you want to have tangible graphs and clients' names and to point to this is how I made you money. People are like, well, how do I get a raise? You've talked about this on your thing.
you do the
Show
job
the
first.
information.
Yeah.
Show the information. In the last quarter, I did this for you. Um, so one of my former executive assistants, Dawn, was great to work with. I love Dawn and missed her.
Love her,
Or
miss her.
I loved Dawn and I do miss her. Um, amazing human being, but she wanted a raise, and I was like, no. And like, well, like why just no? And it's like, well, it's hard to put a pinpoint on how you made me money, how you saved me money, or like I know how you make my life easier. But like that's table stakes is in an EA role.
Mhm.
Um, and make the owner make your executives life easier. That's the whole thing. But what I said to her was, look, Don, you do lots of things for us and amazing things. So just go back and think through all the things that you did in the last quarter to save us money. And then come back to me with a number and say, Dave, like in the last quarter, I saved you $90,000. And I'll be like, well, then I should probably give you a raise. But if you can't substantiate the value you added, then it's hard for the owner just to sit back and go, oh, here, let me throw some money your way. Does
Sure.
that make sense?
Yeah.
And so too often it's like, well, of course they can see what we're doing. Uh, you should know, and you should be able to document, and you should be able to say, this is how I've impacted the organization, and this is the case that I'm using. It, like, don't talk to me about um, the fact that the cost of food is more expensive and you need to feed your kids, you know, organically grown and chicken, and you need to make sure that you have eggs from, you know, Herb's Egg Farm, where they coddle the chickens every day and call them beautiful and just stroke them while they lay the eggs.
You're
Um,
digging
your
a hole for yourself.
I know. But the reality is that the cost of living goes up for everyone, and the expense of running a business goes up for everyone. And so, what most people don't take into consideration is, as their cost of living is rising, the cost of running the business is rising, and so the owner is often in those seasons taking less money every year.
Hmm.
So you're coming to ask for money when he or she are taking less money, and like that, there needs to be some level of understanding of the whole thing, not just your potential issues at home and your household budget. Understand the business, understand your impact of the business, understand the value you're adding to the business, understand how you can make your way to get a good increase by showing the contributions that you've made to help the business succeed more in the last 90 days than it did in the previous 90 days.
Sure.
So if you want to know how to get a raise, that's how.
Make the money, save the money, make their life easier, and keep your receipts so that when you go back to ask for a raise, you have all of your receipts.
So Don came back to me the next quarter and said, I want a raise. And
Nice.
it was like a 10% raise. And I was like, okay, well, um, she said, but here's all the money I saved you. Here's a couple spots where I made you a little bit of money, and you know the things that I do to make your life easier. And I'm like, yeah, I can't argue with that. Here's the money,
That was easy.
right?
Yeah, it's
And
not
so
that
like,
complicated.
yeah, it's formulaic, and it's impersonal, and it's hard to hear. And that's why, as an owner, most owners aren't willing to say that to their people, because it's a hard truth. And
Yeah,
everybody wants a kumbaya moment, and nobody wants a, you know, let's sit down and talk about the hard things.
yeah,
And that's what
yeah.
WTF Talks does, is we have hard conversations with people about real things. Um, and I I don't know everything. I got lots of opinions, and I got lots of um, learning behind me, but I'm open to learning new things from the people that we have on, the people that we go out and do consulting with. I learn about their businesses all the time, and I'm really enjoying this aspect of what we do.
Very nice. So were those the three things that you then wanted to share, or was those the two, and then there was one more? Because you kind of gave
So
us one up front, and then you gave us the three, but were the three the one, or were the three, and then you had an extra? Does that make any sense?
the extra was, what's the owner's job? Yeah. Well,
Yes.
we're
Yeah. Okay, so
yeah.
then the three are make them money, save them money, make their life easier, and then there was just a little bonus of like, what the heck does the owner do? Well, they
Right.
they put money in your bank account every single month or every
Right.
single week or however often that
And
happens.
that's what your employment agreement says. If you go back through your employment agreement, what it says is, I will pay you, and you will do. And like, if we could get down to three-line job descriptions, and like, the employment agreement should be pretty straightforward. I will pay you, and you will execute. And if
Sure.
you fail to execute, I will stop paying you.
Yeah.
And if I stop paying you, you should quit.
Yeah, I wouldn't suggest that that's the course of events that go down, but
Well,
you should
I've
probably
said,
end the employment before paying the person who's doing the job stops happening, but that's a given. I
well,
don't
the
need to say
reality
that.
is in the agency world, unfortunately, the truth is that lots of agencies have cash flow struggles, and sometimes the agency personnel going out to work get shorted. Well, we were talking to a client about this a while ago about something that happened in her business a couple of years prior, that their agency, the employees weren't getting paid,
And
and
yeah.
she stopped working with the agency. And what I would say is that's a universal truth.
Yeah, I forget about the reality of that. I was thinking more in the context of you were like, I don't think you're a good employee anymore. I'm not going to pay you, and you're not going to fire them.
No,
And I was like, what are you talking about?
no.
But
No, if you
yeah,
have a contractual relationship with people, end it properly.
yeah.
But
I
yeah,
forget though that people, you're right. Like sometimes owners just don't have money and they just don't pay employees, and that's never happened at Better Together Group. So I just don't even consider that as an option because you're so good at your job because I get paid every week.
did
Um,
you, did you ever have a job for a small business? Like you worked on the ski boat for a while. Did you ever have a problem getting money out of that guy?
mm-mm.
Why?
Why? I got hard cash for that.
Okay, you got paid hard cash for that. Okay.
He showed
So,
up every Friday to the beach where I
hey, would
was. I
hey, would
walked
that
into
be
the
a fun,
bank.
would that be a fun story to tell about that job and how you got it and how it all worked for you?
Yeah, I mean, that job came together because I got a certification before I was ready for something. So I really wanted to work at this camp, Muskoka Woods, and I really wanted to be a wakeboard instructor. And they were like, no, you can be a kayak instructor. And I was like, well, I'm still gonna go get this certification so that in the future I'm ready, or if someone drops out, you can call me to the bench or whatever the thing may be. And so I went to Muskoka Woods where the certification was happening, and actually met a couple really great people, like friends that I still have to this day, which are fantastic. But I had met this guy who was from my hometown, so from Barrie, Ontario, and he was starting a wakeboard camp, and he was like, "Hey, I would love to hire you." And I was like, "Hey, I'm already committed to something for the summer, so I'm not going to go back on that because I reject that, and then that's not kind of who I am." But I was like, "But next summer, sir, good sir, I would love to talk to you." And so I finished my one summer there out at Muskoka Woods, and I started the very next summer, and I worked for him for 2 years, only 2 years. Somehow that feels like 3 years, but I don't know.
Felt
It
like
doesn't.
you to me.
It was a really really good summer job, and so I worked with him for a year and ran. Oh, it was 3. You're right. I worked with him for a year and ran the summer camp. Then I took my very first job as a manager when I was 17 years old, and I was managing someone who was at least 30, so like well my senior, which was really funny, but it gave me a lot of experience. And we were running a boat of like 9 kids, 10 kids, kind of. And then I went back another summer and had a different person that I worked with, and we did the exact same thing. And then went to the US where I started managing many, many more people in a much bigger summer camp. And I had like
Right?
5 frat boys and about 100 camp kids, and it was crazy. But yeah, I mean, that grew and got wonderful. I had the opportunity to make money and learn how to manage people and be shoeless all day long in the sun. So it was
that
the
that sounds pretty good.
perfect teenage gig.
I was, yeah, I think I did get work for somebody as a teenager where they bounced a check on me. Um, and like in those days, I think it was more forgivable in those days somehow. I don't know why, but and like growing up as a kid around the farm, it may have been like doing some farm work somewhere, or it might have been working at the Max Milk or whatever it was. And I worked actually at a Becker's. I didn't work at Max Milk. Max Milk was beneath us at the time. And then Becker's got out of the business way before Max Milk did. So I
I
don't
was gonna
know.
say I've never heard Becker's. I don't know what
You've
that
never
is.
heard of Becker's in your whole life? That's
No.
funny. Um, it was the highbrow variety store. Um, if there can be such a thing. I'm just making crap up now. Um,
Hey, Wawa's a high variety gas station, which I didn't understand until I moved down here. I'd be like, "What do you mean Wawa's a gas station and a restaurant?" And they were like, "No, you need to understand."
no. It's a gas station with food,
It's
or is it a
a
food store
gas.
with gas?
I think it's a gas station that has a little restaurant inside of it.
You can't sit down
Anyways,
inside of it.
no, but you can get a lot of different kinds of food, and there's more than one people. like person working. I don't, and it's hot or it's cold or I don't know. It's good. Anyways, does not matter. Um,
What's their slogan? Do you wawa? Or something.
I
Anyways,
don't know. But okay, so make them money, save them money, make the business's life easier. Go
yeah,
back, show them your receipts before you ask for a raise, and the boss's job is to make sure that your check clears every single week. Is there anything else that managers, owners, bosses desperately want to say to their people and can't?
yes, there's a bunch of things, but
Okay, and that quickly comes to mind that we can wrap this bad boy up with.
yeah, the key really is just around these money matters. It's like, how do you, the basis of your employment relationship is the impact you make in the organization. And if the organization isn't thriving, um, then you should hold your receipts so you know the impact that you're making. So
The basis of your employment is the impact that you're making on the company. Is that what you just said?
yeah, I think so.
I like that. It's a good line.
We'll have to
It's-
play that back to find out. But yeah, the reality is that sales for a long time has had a reputation of what have you done for me lately? And in most businesses, that's the question that every employee should be asking themselves. So what have I done for the business lately? How have I contributed this week? What are the top three priorities that I have this week to complete for the company? At the end of the week, did I complete them? How
Mhm.
are we pushing the business forward? How are we helping make more money? How are we helping save the company money? How are we making everyone's life easier?
Mhm.
So, depending on the size and scope of the organization, you can ask those questions directly. How am I making the owner money? How am I saving the owner money? How am I making their life easier? Or you can ask it institutionally.
Sure.
Uh, but that's really the decision making matrix as to why you're there.
Yeah. Yeah. Most certainly. You're
So
you're there to take a paycheck home so that you can pay your bills. Your employer has you there for one of those three reasons. So that's
that's exactly it. And if the owner's putting the money in the bank so that you can go home and feed your family, then you need to do the other parts,
cycle continues forward. Yeah, and it just
right?
keeps
We're
rolling.
just supporting each other and helping each other, and that's why we are better together.
Better together. Oh my gosh, I'm writing a new book right now. About I'll tell the WTF Talks people because they're special and they get the prelude, but about safety and compliance, a safety and compliance person. And at the very end of the story, I was running it like just a couple of hours ago. I was like, and we do it because we're better together. And like I didn't even want to, but I was like, but like they do it for the drivers because they're better to anyways, you just can't not. It just always
So true.
hits.
It's so true.
Oh, so funny.
So
But
true.
better together, that we
Right.
are.
And so, yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. I don't think we have really much to add
Nothing,
to this.
nothing more. Thank you for your time. If you've got questions, leave them below. Comments, reach out to us. I guess it should actually just be the opposite of that. If you've got questions, call us. If you've got comments, leave them below. But regardless, we are here for all of you should you want anything. But thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again in another couple days for another WTF Talks.
Let's go.
Bye, everybody.